Yeah, go ahead and open up yours, Cleet.
Already did.
Go ahead and join me. Yeah, Cleet got a little too angsty and opened it before.
Tastes like Teen Spirit.
And I had to call him out. I'm like, really? You just couldn't wait until we were recording to open the beer.
Good fucking beer, though.
It is really
good. You did a good job.
So I can't take the credit. My aunt got it for us from Arizona. It's Church Music, a juicy IPA from the Shop Beer Co. And the can looks awesome.
Dude, I would totally go to a church to serve this.
Yeah.
Like you were drinking the blood of Christ. Really?
That's what it tastes like?
That guy had been totally
It tastes like
wasted.
a beer? Man, everyone should drink this. Speaking of churches, there's like that new church that's here in Utah about the whale statue. Have you heard about that?
No.
Yeah, there's like a whale statue in the middle of this roundabout, and I guess people are like worshiping it now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's not cool.
Do you think it's like still new enough to where I can like try to become the prophet of the whale?
Oh, you
god?
could easily do it.
If I just go there, start a Facebook account, say that I can talk to him.
I mean, I would imagine
if they want to commune with them, that I'm the third party, and that they have to give me tithing.
They probably would.
Yeah,
because there's nowhere to stop. I don't know what the practices are, but it's in a roundabout. So like right in the center.
Whale god has told me to stand up here and blubber his truth.
Blubber his truth. I like it. That was good. Right off the cusp.
I could do a good cult. I feel like I could start a really good.
We should
cult.
start a cult.
Yeah.
We can all the Bissites, the Abyssers. I don't know. I'll have to work on that. Let's put a pin in that one. But welcome to the Abyss, everybody. Sorry for the absence. Obviously, it was the holiday week and a lot of crazy shit happening. And crazy story. I'm like waiting for my twins to be here any day now, man. Like early labor is no joke.
Damn, man.
Yeah. So she's only 30 weeks along. So it's still early. Like we need like 5 or 6 more weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but you know, with both of our first kids, we're early, not that early, but like we're used to it. So like any day, man, I could just like have 2 more kids in my house. So for you, the listeners, if there's a week or 2 more that we miss, you'll know why. But we'll probably have Cleet hop on and say something. So you're
go
not
solo.
Left in the dark. Well, you could bring your wife on, or I don't know. You used Joe before. Usually when I can't make it, you find someone to replace me because I'm so easily replaceable.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. This is Cleet's
Good
show.
point.
I'm just the sidebar. I'm just the side hustle. I'm the side chick to your podcast.
You are the side chick. Side chick of the side chick.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm the side chick? Like the side chick has more?
I would call you a Tuesday.
Oh. Can I at least have a Wednesday? Tuesday just seems so arbitrary. But anyway, welcome back, everybody. We're going to be jumping back into Reddit. And yes, we've done a lot of Reddit stuff, but again, life happens. But I think next week we're going to jump back into our serial killer series. We need another series since the iceberg is done. That iceberg was just the bane of my existence some weeks.
You know what? It was good, though. They got a lot of iceberg things, so we'll jump into some in the future.
Someone did congratulate us on getting through it, which seems like not hard to do, but it was a lot, man. It was over 2 years.
We'll have to compile like a giant episode and see how long it is.
It was like 2 years worth that we did that. It was crazy. We learned a lot from it, though.
Oh, and we're at 415 on subs, so we're 85 away from forcing us to go to the Clown Motel, which I am very excited for. It'll be our first YouTube with video, which is going to be really interesting.
Hopefully of many.
Yeah.
I would like to visit a lot of crazy
sites.
And
I think we'll be going video in the podcast area in the future. You can see our ugly mugs.
Yeah, I'm nervous. As I said last time, I'm nervous we're going to lose people. They're going to be like, man, you guys are ugly.
I didn't know you could look like that. Like, literally, Britain's face is concave.
Yeah. Like, I could tolerate your voices for that's fine. Voices are great. Like a concave face. Like it's just indented. Like
a moon.
Like I got kicked by a horse.
He looks like a waning crescent.
Damn. That's why I have the beard. It's to keep the facade that I don't have.
Is a waning crescent.
A giant dent in my face. Yeah, that's how this is going. Anyway, that was a tangent from hell. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good, yeah. Drove St. George, saw the parents.
Nice.
Yeah.
I drove about 15 minutes and saw my mom.
We were going to go to Lee's discount liquor store, but I'm like, nah, it's just with the baby. It's so hard to fucking
It is
travel.
hard with the baby.
We're just going home.
Is this like your first big travel with your son?
No, second, but it was the hardest one.
Yeah. Does he just like freak out?
He did at one point.
Yeah.
Start screaming in the back. Why? Why?
That's hard to do. But anyway, speaking of children, The Reddit thread we're reading is, what is a scary story from your childhood?
I heard some good scary stories when I was a kid, especially when you had those sleepovers. You ever had those?
I had loved sleepovers, but they don't happen very much anymore.
I remember like we built a fort when I was like 10. It was with my older brothers, and they were all telling scary stories, and it was the first time I heard of the serial killer who was licking the hand of the person sleeping at night, and then they woke up and looked into the bathroom and it said, people can lick hands too.
I remember
she assumed
that
it was
one.
the dog. And
I remember that story.
It really scared me as a kid. Really
It
scared me.
made me uncomfortable.
I feel like you get a little bit desensitized to horror as you get older. You know, it's kind of like a rite of passage. Because I remember, like, specifically watching, what was the show? Like, Event Horizon, I think is the name, as a kid.
That's a wild one.
And it scared the fuck out of me. And then, like, I watched it, like, as an adult, and I'm like, this is, like, okay, you know? When I was watching it as a kid, I just thought it was the creepiest thing, and I only saw, like, 15 minutes of it because I was sneaking it from my parents on the old Cinemax, Skinemax.
Late night Skinemax.
That was in the day. It was in the day.
You know you watched it at 2 a.m.
Scary.
You know you watched it. The movie that scared me the most, I would say, as a kid was the first Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
That scared the fuck out of me. Just the first scene, man, when they're driving down the road and he just starts barreling to him. I'm like, nope. And the thing is I watched it at my friend's house because I lived in a circle. He was at the end of the circle. So I had to walk home at night by myself after watching Jeepers Creepers. I don't think I have ever ran so fast
Gotta run.
in my life.
Gotta run.
I think I was flying, Cleet. It was like Jesus walking the waters, man. I was just gone.
Jesus Christ, cheese and rice.
Church music, juicy IPA. But yeah, that movie scared me. But on the topic of desensitized, I feel like that's where I'm at, man. It takes a lot to truly get me to be...
Maybe that's why I'm so picky at scary movies.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason.
I know we've said it several times. Sinister was the last one that like made me feel...
It's the last one.
Yeah. It was not... It was good, but it made me scared. But anyway, do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Sure. This one is from Victor117. One night, I woke up to yelling and crashing and walked into the living room to see my dad fist fighting a complete stranger. He beats the absolute shit out of him and threw him down the stairs into our unfinished basement and locked the door, since that was the only way in or out of there, and called the police. Guy thought nobody was home and decided to burglarize the place and walked around the corner and bumped right into my dad in the dark, who was half asleep on his way to the bathroom. Damn.
So being the dad, though, can you imagine you're just getting up to take a pee and you run into someone that's not supposed to be there?
Well, if you had to take a shit, I'd be pissed.
No, you'd be shit.
I'd be angry.
You'd poop your pants.
Yeah, might give me some velocity towards him when I punch him.
It just like propels you forward a little bit. Use it to your advantage. That is creepy, though. I don't know. So that's one of those things that, like, I seriously... It's not a fear, but there's always that worry that, like, someone's just going to enter my house. I don't know. Like, the thought of, like, what you would do in that instance.
So you never stand between a man and his toilet. You just never do it.
That's true. That is very true, especially after a Taco Bell. Okay, this is from Apprehensive Mix 2450. I was probably about 6 or 7, and my older sister was 12-ish. We had recently moved to a new place and decided to play Barbies in a field just up the road on an elementary school ground, mid-90s, less than 200 meters from our home. I thought it said 200 miles. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I bet.
They just walked 200 miles away.
Yeah, just a casual day.
We're going to go play Barbies.
1960s.
The next state over. Leave us alone. A man came up to us, and I distinctly remember him swaying, obviously not understanding alcohol effects and/or drugs. He came out of nowhere, it seemed, and asked if we had seen his little black dog that he had lost. We said no, sorry, and he proceeded to... Nope. Nope.
Well, now I need to know what happened.
Okay. Okay. This is from Jekyll 1886. Shut the fuck
He's
up.
like, have you seen that Catch a Predator show? I hate it.
All right, this is Jekyll. This is from Jekyll 1886. Before I hit double digits, and I don't fully remember what my age was, but I know it was before I was 10, my stepmother's ex came over drunk. He was the bio dad of my step-siblings, who let him in. He was raving about how he was going to kill my dad and the kids who weren't his, which is me and my sister, who was only a couple of months old at the time.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
I ran to our bedroom. We 3 girls shared a room and hid in the closet. I know not a smart move, but I was a scared little kid. The door was just open a crack so I could see him come into the room a couple of times as my stepmother was trying to get him to leave. I heard a lot of noise at one point, and then I saw cops come into the room, so I got out of the closet. I went into the kitchen and saw blood on the floor, counters, stove. There were a few things broken. The ex had tried to fight my dad, but being drunk did not have the upper hand. My dad being tired of his bullshit didn't work in the ex's favor either. The ex was arrested, and he was the only one who really got hurt that night. The friend who brought him to our house was charged as an accomplice, and I have a recurring nightmare that pops up from time to time.
I'd be like, how can I reasonably hurt him by still claiming it's self-defense? Like, when do you stop?
Well, I mean, even if you're drunk, man, you take a first swing or you put someone in danger, it's self-defense.
Yeah. Well,
can they reason that intoxication? Does that rule it out?
Like, it's not self-defense if you beat him up and he's on the ground, you shoot him in the head.
I don't think that's what happened here.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. But,
Is that what you're saying?
No, you got to hurt him. You got to teach
there was
that guy
blood
a lesson.
all over the place.
Yeah, don't shoot him. But I'm saying there is a line. There's a line that you can't cross.
Oh, yeah. No, like you come into my house threatening me and my kids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're going down.
How down?
Down.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. Anyway, next story.
6 feet under.
You want me to agree to murder on the podcast, Cleet?
I didn't say that was appropriate. I said that wouldn't be appropriate.
You're digging.
That was a clear
How
line.
much, bro? How deep? How hurt is he going to be, huh? How much blood are you willing to spill, you nasty demon?
This one is from Turbo Ethan. Ew. Ew. As a teenager, I could catch a bus a few blocks from home that would take me to the local station. 2 internet cafes were there. Great memories playing LAN with friends and others. Hey, sounds like fun. Xmas time, and I want to go to the next cafe on Boxing Day. Lucky duck, I got a phone for Xmas. A Nokia 5110. Had to charge it for hours before using. Did that. Used its alarm so I could wake up on time for the bus ride to the net cafes. Wake up, no alarm. Oh, the alarm is set, but I had to set the wrong AM/PM time on the phone. Rookie mistake.
Damn.
That's okay. I'm only an hour late, and we got all day. Walked down to the highway to catch my bus. Traffic was backed up, which seemed weird. Then noticed there was a road closure and had to catch the bus down the road. Okay. Did that, caught the bus. The bus drives past the bus stop I was supposed to be waiting at. The bus had been totaled, flattened. I asked the bus driver, what's up? Oh, about an hour and a half ago, a car went straight through the bus stop, killed a bloke who was waiting there.
Oh, God.
If I had set the clock correctly on my phone, I would have been right on time in the spot at that bus stop. Instead, I had a good time at the net cafe. It really didn't dawn on me how it played out until I reviewed the day later on. I'm more freaked out about it these days than when it went down. So essentially what he's saying is because he didn't set his alarm correctly, he's still alive. Yeah.
Oh, you know, you don't have to mansplain it to us.
Oh, yeah, all right, because you fucking mansplain. Fuck you.
What he's saying is...
You crying over there?
All right, this is from the White Dog. I was around 12. Wellington in New Zealand, where I grew up, is very hilly, so you'd often get streets built in valleys, etc. Our house's backyard was at the foot of a steep bank that was about 1 story or so high, with more houses up there. One day I saw a dead bird in our backyard. I walked over and saw that someone had carefully and methodically pushed maybe 100 nails all the way into the thing in a tightly packed pincushion grid square arrangement.
What the? That's fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Like, what type of freak is doing that?
Methodically. I vividly remember how little space there was between them and how the flesh in there was like a pate.
Probably it's probably a Jeffrey Dahmer. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That was
the new one.
clever.
Yeah, I tried.
Jeffrey
Dahmer. God damn it. Every woman's going to swoon for him.
I was super freaked out and I looked up because where else could it have come from? And there, at the top of the cliff, backlit by the overcast sky and in silhouette was a little kid standing silently, staring down at me. Absolute creepiest thing I ever saw. This kid's like, you like my creation? He's just like devilishly pushing these nails into the birds.
Birds.
I think that's going to be like your son one day.
You know,
pushing nails into birds.
A group of crows is called a murder. And I murdered that crow.
This one cockeye goes to the right. It's like, dude, what are you looking at?
Okay, this one is from Deleted. I'm a grown woman now, but when I was 11, I lived with my dad who had just gotten a gig as a temporary principal for a junior high school in a semi-rural area. He had to start the job fairly quickly, so a kind teacher at the school let us rent his basement apartment. It was pretty sweet. The house was right next door to the school. Our landlord was a well-liked teacher with a wife and daughter my own age. One evening, my dad had to pop out of his office to fix some things. This was in 1999, so we weren't all connected online, but I was lucky to have my own mobile phone without internet, obviously. I didn't expect to use it as my dad is hearing impaired and usually didn't notice his phone ringing. Anyways, I expected him back in a few hours. No stress. I'm a big girl. There's a knock at the door.
Do that again, sorry.
Fuck.
Just hearing you say I'm a big girl.
There's a knock at the door. I can see it's the landlord, and he is also my school teacher, so I open the door and let him in. He has just a few questions, and he sits down in the couch. We talk a little, but I start feeling something's off. He seems a little drunk. His questions get invasive, and suddenly he gets up to give me a hug. I don't want a hug, and I got scared and managed to break away. He was trying to keep his grip on me. I actually start moving towards the door, but he blocks me. I am now severely freaked out, and I keep moving around the apartment while small talking about school and trying not to let my fear show. He's telling me not to be scared and that he's my teacher and he just wants to get to know me better. Creepo,
Nope.
creepo.
Creep alert.
This goes on for about half an hour. My dad suddenly comes home. He had a bad feeling. He immediately notices our landlord is drunk and tells him to get out. I told my dad everything and we kept the door locked from then on. My dad had some acute health issues shortly after, and I had to stay with relatives. After he got well, we moved out of the new place. However, we learned that a few weeks later, our landlord got arrested. He was on that one show. What is it called?
How to Catch a Predator?
Yeah. Chris Hansen.
The guy who just ate the pizza as if nothing happened.
He's
You
like,
fucking creep.
Why do you got condoms in your pocket? You're just, anyways.
I'm eating pizza.
Did the
with
pizza
condoms.
guy, like,
That was-
damn, man.
He just like,
He just starts eating the pizza because...
He's like, can I eat first? Like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Anyways, he had been found at a gas station chugging denatured alcohol, and it turned out that he had been abusing and raping his wife and 11-year-old daughter for years. Jesus. Well, I hope he goes to a nice, hot place and hail.
Oh, yeah. This is from U of A Alumna 15. When I was about 7 or 8, I was visiting at my grandparents' house with my 2 cousins. The house is very secluded on the outskirts of a rural town. My mom, grandmother, and aunt were busy downstairs in a back room spring cleaning. Us 3 girls were playing upstairs. Taking a lunch break, my aunt called out to us from the kitchen upstairs. We walked into the kitchen and she asked us if we had been in her purse to play with her wallet. We said no, and she thought she was missing some money, around $20. Me and my one cousin volunteered to look for the money in her car in case it fell out. We went to the car, looked around, and found nothing. My cousin accidentally slammed the door, and she told me, "Shh, don't tell Mom. She hates it when I slam the door." I agreed, and we went back upstairs. Minutes passed, and we all started making sandwiches. My mother looked out the window and said, "Girls, you left the car door open." We ran to the window, and we kind of froze for a second. We assured them that we did not leave any car doors open and confessed to actually slamming the door that was open. At this point, things kind of start feeling creepy. First the wallet, now the car door. After watching the car for a while, we didn't see anyone, and my mom bravely said she would close the door so the interior lights wouldn't run the battery down. It was an old car. When she went outside and closed the car door, the landline to the house rang. My grandmother answered, and her face turned completely white. She started yelling for my mother to get in the house and lock the door now. We all got upstairs and hunkered down in the corner of the room while my grandmother called 911. My mother reported feeling someone watching her when she was closing the car door. She also thought she saw a shadow inside of our Astro van, which had tinted windows. Someone unknown to my grandmother on the phone said, "I know you're in there,"
I'm gonna get you.
and hung up. At this point, we're all scared and crying, waiting for 30 to 45 minutes for the cops to show up. Man, just take your time. No worries. Finally, we see a police officer in the driveway, and we all run outside. He starts taking a report of what happens with the money, car door, and phone call. As he's writing everything down, I yell to my mom that there's smoke coming from the top of the house, on the backside. My grandmother freaks, thinking she left a pot of beans on the stove and maybe the kitchen caught fire. The police officer looks up and sees the smoke, calls in the fire department, and runs inside the house, instructing everyone to stay outside. Moments later, he comes back outside and is completely bewildered. Nothing is on fire, and the smoke outside is gone. Fire department and backup police arrive. They search the house and nearby land. Nothing. To this day, we have no clue what happened, who the person was, where the money went, how they knew my grandmother's phone number, and what caused the smoke. The only speculation we made was the phone call was probably made from inside our van, as we had a mobile bag phone before cell phones were popular. I was terrified as a kid and still shudder when thinking back on this. It's actually a little freaky. I know you're in there.
Maybe they were just taking a giant hit from a bong or something.
They were vaping.
Yeah, they were vaping. We get it, bro. You fucking vape.
We get it, man. You're so cool.
I
You're
just like to
vaping.
vape, you know. I don't care about the health consequences. It's a lot healthier. All right. This one is from the Karma Police.
They're knocking on your door again, dude.
My grandma and I almost died from a gas leakage.
Oof.
She noticed something was wrong, got up and immediately collapsed. I was in bed watching TV and didn't realize I was lightheaded until I got up to help her. I was not able to sit straight, so I had to crawl on my fours, leaning against the wall. We lived in a yard with multiple houses, and my parents were in the house next to my grandmother's. So I had to continue crawling, even if I was barely able to hold any balance whatsoever. And I was also very confused. I managed to enter the hallway and go in front of the room. They saw me, looked very concerned, and then I collapsed. Next thing I know, I was in my parents' bed tucked in. Fortunately, everything was fine with both of us, but scary and confusing as fuck.
Glad you guys are okay. Do you have a gas stove? Or is yours electric?
No, it's all electric.
Yeah. So we were at my in-laws this last week, and my youngest son goes up because they have a gas range, and he was just twisting all the knobs.
Oh, Lord.
Like, that's a dangerous thing, man. Like, he didn't turn any of them on.
And
Like,
then
I was
he grabbed
watching.
a cigar, and he was about to light it. No, son, no!
My 2-year-old celebratory cigar.
You know, just
For
because we're
Thanksgiving.
models doesn't mean we can't die in freak gasoline fights. No!
Okay, this is Notorious 2 again. When I was 3, my older brother was 5. He was doing some homework at the coffee table in the living room while I ran around playing. He turned his pencil over to erase something. Oh, Jesus. This is going to be rough. This is going to be brutal. Okay. He turned his pencil over to erase something as I ran by, and I happened to trip at that moment and fall onto the pencil. It went right into my eye. Oh, God. Oh, okay. Bro pulled the pencil out of my eye as soon as... Oh, Jesus. As soon as he realized what happened, I started screaming, which brought my parents from the next room. They couldn't get a straight story out of the two of us, and there was no blood, so we moved on with our evening, went to bed. There was no fucking blood! The next morning, I had fluid from my eye dried on my cheek, and my eye looked deflated. Oh, God. We went to the hospital, they found the injury, and took me into surgery to close the wound in my eye. I'm surprisingly okay. My vision on that side sucks because I have scarring to the back of my eyeball, but the pencil didn't go further. I wear corrective glasses that enable me to see fairly well with that eye. As imaging technology has progressed, I've even gotten to see what the injury looks like at the eye doctor. That was cool for me because everyone else looked at my injury at the doctor's office for years when I was a kid, but I could never see it. There's a little graphite mark at the back of my eye. So yeah, my eyeball got impaled on a pencil, but I'm fine now.
Damn, dude.
That makes me cringe. Oh, that makes me cringe. Fucking pencil to the eyeball. Not a fan.
All right, this one is from Magisgras. When I was around 8 or 9, I was playing with some friends in a field near my house. We were playing for a few hours and having fun, but slowly the number of us grew fewer and fewer as people needed to head home. Eventually, it was just me and a friend. We said our goodbyes and started making our way home. We went in different directions. I saw a group of people start making their way in my general direction from back and to the right, but I didn't put any pass on them and just kept walking leisurely. It looked like they were going perpendicular to the direction I was, so I didn't have any reason to be alarmed. I then heard heavy footfalls. A few of them started running at me. I reacted too late to run, and I was punched in the face and fell to the ground in shock and crying. The one who punched me grabbed me by the collar and punched me again twice while I screamed for him to leave me alone. I could see his posse laughing and egging him on. The guy stood up and looked around and found a fairly large rock and held it over his head while standing over me. One of his friends managed to talk him out of throwing and dropping the rock on me, which may have killed me. It was a big fucking rock, and the group started walking away. I was still hysterical and scrambled to my feet and ran towards my home screaming for help. I then could see my dad running towards me. He must have been out looking to see why I hadn't come home yet. I ran into his arms and gave him the biggest hug I could muster while babbling about bad boys and pointing in their direction of the group, who were now a fair distance away, but I could hear them all guffawing. I would be so fucking mad.
Oh, yeah.
I remember at the time thinking my dad would sort them out. I saw him look at the group, look down at me, and console me and carried me home. For some time, I felt resentment that my superhero didn't beat up the bad guys and felt my dad cowered away. This shattered my image of him as my superhero.
Jesus Christ.
Since then, I've realized there was very little my dad could have done in the instance, and I shouldn't have felt the way that I did, but I was young and didn't know better. Damn, dude, I would be so mad.
Yeah. This story, though, is the worst story I think I've ever read.
You can't be the 30-year-old that beats up like 15-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Like, how many third graders can you beat up until you're a monster?
6? Okay. This is from Life's High Mead. Have you had mead before?
Like beer?
Mead.
Yeah, it's like a very alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
Like
You
kind of
had
like
mead?
wine. No.
Oh, it's good. I've had a honey mead before.
Oh, neat.
Super good. It definitely gets you drunk off your ass.
I need me to drink some mead.
We'll bring some mead for the next one. All right. Life's High Mead. I was riding my bike around my town when a car full of people started following me, then started passing me really close, then driving around the block to do it again. After 2 of these, I took off down an alley to avoid them, but they followed me. One of the people in the back seat rolled down their window, pointed a gun at me, and pulled the trigger. At that point, I made a beeline for my friend's house, riding down the sidewalk on a one-way street going opposite traffic. I jumped my friend's fence and pulled my bike over into his lawn. Then I burst into his house, called the police. Now, as an adult, I have thought about it, and I'm nearly certain that the gun was a fake or a pellet gun or something. There was no sound and no muzzle flash. But back then, I was totally messed up for like a year after that. I was terrified of being alone, and I always looked over my shoulder whenever I was walking or riding my bike anywhere. I started imagining that car everywhere I went and freaked out whenever I saw one that looked like it. I'm not sure when I got over it, but it took a long time.
All right, this one is from Boo Boo Kitty Fuck 28.
That's good. That's gonna be a good story. That name says Boo. All right.
By default, I have to read this.
Yeah, you have fun. I'm gonna finish my beer.
Okay. When I was about 11 or 12, my mom lived in an apartment building, and the door to her apartment was next to a hall with the stairs. One day, we were heading out to the store, so I opened the door, and there was a man standing outside our door. He was immediately spooked and took off running down the stairs and out of our building. We never saw him again. It scared the shit out of me. I still often wonder if he was listening outside our door or what.
Why do you?
That's it. It's tea. All right. We're going to pop open another beer. It's called 24K Golden Ale.
By Two Row Brewing. It's one of those nights where you need a second beer to get you through.
Sometimes you got to have more alcohol to have fun.
I guess.
I'm going to drink until the Statue of Liberty looks hot.
Ugh. Tastes like shit. Just kidding. It's actually pretty good.
I was like, really? You
It's
sure?
good. I like it. 2 good beers in one night. What can a man want more than that? All right, this is from One Boiled Cabbage. Not 2, but 1. The haunted wood clock of my mom's. When my sister and I were 4 and 5 years old, we swore, even to this day, that there was a witch laughing at us coming from the living room. My sister and I thought it was coming from the TV. A few years later, we had moved into a different place, and as I went to sneak out of my room for a midnight snack, I heard ticking from the clock getting louder and louder. I stopped dead in my tracks, and this faint song came out of nowhere to the beat of the ticking sound. Mr. Frost is a bad man. Mr. Frost is a Grinch. Mr. Frost is a dead man. Beat him within an inch.
Huh.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
I ran back to my room and never went back out for another snack at night again. The mom's like, got you, little bitch.
Yeah. I'm going to fucking scar you.
That's aggressive.
I mean,
Is that what your mom used to say to you?
Announcing what you were saying.
I'm gonna fucking scar you
You're
now.
never going to do this again.
Chasing around with the hot iron.
This is going to hurt
You'll
you.
never forget this, Cleet.
This is going to be a core memory, motherfucker.
Leave that ding dong alone.
Bro.
The ding dong chocolate roll.
Just go on. Just keep going. Just keep
That
going.
crossed the line for
Yeah.
you as a ding dong?
Bro.
Fuck you, dude. I'm.
Bro.
It's a ding
What
dong.
the fuck's the matter
What do
with
you want? A
man?
yo-ho? A yoo-hoo?
Right.
Or what's it called? A yo-yo?
What the fuck's the matter with you,
What the
man?
fuck's the matter with you? What the fuck is the matter with you? It's a ding dong. I mentioned this moment in here around a year or two ago, and back then, I assumed that this was coming from my dad's brown pocket watch. Since then, my family and I discussed the uneasiness we've all felt around this clock, and my sister said, "Do you remember the witch laughing?" It struck me. The watch of my dad's wasn't around when we heard it. We don't know why or how or if it's even real, but we believe that this clock is cursed.
Huh. Goddamn clock. All right, this one is from Jack LaCroix.
Jack LaCroix.
I'm going to go with it.
I know you are.
I was in grade 5 or 6, and I was at a friend's, Hans, place with a few others for a sleepover party. We decided to go out for a walk around the block when it was dark. I was kind of freaked out by that. I was a nervous kid and didn't know the area well, but I agreed to go.
That's like a normal kid thing to do. Hey, it's midnight. Let's just go out and walk the block.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going.
What better fun sleepover activity than walking the block at night? Jesus.
We got to the end of a street, to a main drag, and I was like, nah, we should go back home. My friends disagreed and wanted to go on. I just said I was heading back and turned around. Then I heard them like whisper shouting my name. I turned around and they were hiding behind a car and frantically gesturing me to go over to them. In the middle of the road, this car has stopped, headlights on, just idling there. There was something really sinister about it. I ran over to my friends and they said the car had stopped and crept along when they saw me walking alone. We decided to make a break for it down the alley that would lead back to where we had come from. We ran so fast, but at the other end of the alley, bam, the car pulls up at a stop to see us. We turn and run back the other way and eventually make it back to my friend's house. When we get there, we realize one of our friends, Andy, is missing. Oh, God. He's going to be on a milk carton.
That's...
We tell Hans' dad about it, and we go back down the alleyway. We try to escape down and found Andy sitting with a lady on her porch. Turns out he'd thrown himself into their hedges to hide from the guy in the car while we ran off. The car had stopped and the guy had gotten out to look for him. They walked to the lady's garden and her floodlights had come on. They got back into their car and drove off, while Andy went to get help from the lady. We were all shaken but unhurt, and we'd come so close to being kidnapped or whatever.
Damn. Okay, this is from CutiePie719. I've had hallucinations since as long as I can remember, but I guess as a dumb kid I never grasped that it was weird. Like I knew what I was seeing wasn't real. I just thought that that's what people meant by your eyes playing a trick on you. I guess one of the worst was a recurring one I dubbed the Tree Man, because he's tall and lanky and bony, like a tree. I was creative. But anyhow, this thing looked like the actual Algonquin descriptions of a Wendigo. Not the pop culture thing with horns. I mean an inky black, 8 to 10 foot tall, shadowy figure, thinner than paper, with a mouth stretching from ear to ear and rows of sharp, pointed, gnarly teeth. I just kind of accepted his presence. And while he never tried to hurt me, he made sure that I was uncomfortable. He'd stand in the corner and watch me, lying in bed. He once caught my foot out from under the blanket and began caressing it, making horrible eye contact, despite having skin pulled over the divots where his eyes should be, and just overall being creepy. I told my friends about it, and they all said it must be a demon. But I've always been a skeptic, and so my dumb ass claimed the more likely explanation was that I had just recently The more likely explanation was that I had just really weird sleep paralysis, where I just didn't get paralyzed. Of how her friends are like, oh, it's just a demon. Don't worry about it.
Probably a demon.
Just a demon.
You're probably fucked. This one is from Sleepy X Dormouse.
Why'd you say that
Moose.
so weird? Dormouse.
Dormouse.
It's a dormouse.
It's Canadian, dude. Do you not understand the dialect of Canada?
It's the sleepy dormouse.
Yes. You really are a Canuck. This one is really weird.
Get fucked.
Damn. This is...
You can keep that in. I don't even care. Get
right.
fucked.
But my brother and I swear it happened. I just woke up, so my narrating skills are blah, but bear with me.
But bear with me.
But when I was a kid, my cousin bought a devil's mask for Halloween. Growing up in a super Catholic Mexican home, this was a big no-no. My aunt refused to have it in her house and was upset that he had bought it without consulting her. She has always been the most religious in our family. To appease her, my grandmother took the mask to her house. She hated it too, but she shoved it into a shoebox in the closet and forgot about it. However, something really bizarre and terrifying happened when I was a kid. The house my grandmother and I lived in was very tiny. It was a 2-bedroom house that had only 2 entrances. The kitchen was the center of the house, and it had a plain view of the bedrooms and living room. The 2 entrances were in the kitchen, a small door that led to the backyard, and a front door in the living room. However, because the kitchen was the center of the house, you could see anyone that went in or out of our house from the kitchen. Essentially, that means that no one could sneak in the house without being seen by whoever's in the kitchen. All right.
Okay.
The kitchen is the vantage point. Good to know.
Get it. You always have to know your vantage points, man.
So one day, my siblings and I are in the kitchen. My grandmother was the only other person in the house with us, but she was in the backyard watering plants. She did that every morning when we ate breakfast, and we could see her that morning from the little window of our backyard. Being kids, we start to bicker as we eat breakfast. I can't remember what we were bickering about, but it was something childish. My sister and I are raising our voices and arguing more and more adamantly. My brother tells us to stop because grandmother will hear us and get mad. But then we hear something from one of the bedrooms. It sounded like someone was crying in one of the bedrooms. We could hear the sobs and hiccups of someone who was locked in one of the rooms. They sounded inconsolable. We looked around at each other, wondering who it was. We were both alone in the house with our grandmother, and she was in the backyard. It wasn't her. In our childish foolishness, we get up to go see. We went to the bedrooms and see that only one is open. The guest room is open and no one is inside. The master room has the door open, a tiny crack, but is closed. We look through the little slit in the door and can see a woman with a white dress, gown, sitting on the corner of the bed with her head in her hands, crying. She looks like my grandmother and is almost wailing. Jesus. We look at each other, wondering how she got in the room. She was in the backyard gardening. My sister turns around to go peek out the door to the backyard because we swear we can still hear the hose spraying outside. My brother and I get closer to the door and start inching to the door open to go and ask my grandma what's wrong. And then the woman lifts her face. Her hands are holding up my cousin's devil mask to her face.
Jesus Christ.
We scream and run. Our screaming gets to our grandmother's attention, and she opens the door from the backyard. We are inconsolable, wondering what the heck is happening because she was just in the room behind us. She's frantically asking us what's wrong, and we can only utter something about the bedroom and the devil.
I don't know what you said, but the bedroom and the devil,
The devil's in the bedroom.
they don't really go together.
She goes into the master room and throws the door open. There's no one there. She goes to the shoebox with the mask. It's still there. She just stares at us and asks us what happened. We then tell her. She goes pale. She sees how frightened we are and knows we aren't lying, and she swears she didn't do it. She was in the backyard and couldn't have snuck into the house without us seeing it from the kitchen. The woman just like her, but it wasn't her. There's no explanation for it. My grandmother, in her Catholic mindset, told us that we probably drew the devil towards us by arguing. She tossed the mask into the trash and made us pray.
Y'all go ahead and pray now. Get in a circle. We're going to pray.
Yeah. However, she still maintains that it was not her that day. I believed her because she was super Catholic and definitely would not have touched the mask, much less wear it. Plus, there was no physically possible way she could have been in the master room 1 minute and then in the backyard the next. Still, my brother and I remember what we saw vividly and have no explanation for it.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah, there's a devil in the bedroom.
I was going to tell you, though, I forgot at the beginning. We watched Insidious, The Red Door, what you were telling me about a while ago. It was actually pretty good.
I liked it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty clever. I also watched The Nun, too. Didn't care for it.
Christine really liked it. She wants me to watch it, but I haven't.
Oh, she watched it without you?
Yeah, she hated the first one.
Oh, the first one was way better.
What?
Like, yeah, I'm not kidding. Look, the first one wasn't my favorite. It was entertaining. The second one didn't need to be there. Didn't need to exist. It was just like
we don't need a double nun.
Do? Yeah,
she did her thing. Go back to Jesus.
Yeah.
We don't need you no more.
I liked the first one better.
All right.
So I know you didn't like the first one.
I didn't watch the first one.
Oh, I thought then why were you so surprised?
Like Christine doesn't like it. She said the second one was better.
Okay, well you watch them both and tell me how you feel. They're free. It's free. Okay.
Do you say for free?
It's for free, my mate. This one's The Highway Warrior. When I was in college, I walked a friend of mine home to her apartment complex, which was about a 25-minute walk from campus. Now that's some dedication. It was a dilapidated old building with a courtyard that had a bunch of stone walls and a really confusing layout, almost like a maze. After I walked her to the front door, I turned to leave and realized, to my annoyance, that I didn't know my way out, and all the corridors looked alike. As I walked around trying to find my way out, I noticed just how abandoned the place looked. It seemed like a lot of the apartments were just empty and no one was really around. Some of the lights didn't work and the whole place just had a run-down vibe. I might have been imagining things, but I thought I heard hurried footsteps behind me. They stopped abruptly whenever I stopped and turned my head. That's a freaky fucking feeling. No one. Okay. Rounded another corner. More weird shuffling footsteps that just stopped. The gait seemed uneven, almost like one foot was dragging behind the other. I rounded a corner, and there, in big white letters, someone had scrawled, "Are you alone?" in weird, blocky letters.
Do you like me? Yes, no, or maybe.
Yes, no. Please write back.
Circle the one.
I'll look away. Is this elementary school? Footsteps came back, but this time it wasn't a shuffling walk. Whoever it was, they were running, and I could hear the pounding of their feet on the pavement as they were about to turn the corner. Fight or flight took over, and I turned and fucking booked it just as I heard the footsteps round the corner. I sprinted through the corridor after corridor, sometimes into pitch black thanks to those broken fucking lights. Heard some fucking weird heavy breathing noises and weird gibbering accompanied by footsteps. After what seemed like forever, I rounded a corner and saw the front entrance. Ran through it immediately and ran for about 10 minutes straight until I was nearly to campus. I was really out of shape at the time and didn't think I had it in me. I guess adrenaline is a hell of a drug. The next morning I told my friend about what happened and she brushed it off, saying that it was probably one of the remaining tenants playing a joke. Apparently the owner of the building wasn't renewing anyone's leases and the population of the complex dwindled to just a handful of people. No idea who would play such a prank. I think I narrowly avoided a mugging or worse that night. Friend moved out at the end of the semester, and I think the building got demolished a year or so later. Good riddance.
Good God.
Are you alone?
Circle the answer for me.
I mean, they obviously know they're alone if they're following him.
All right, this one is from Jagorbe Doset.
Are you fucking kidding? It's J. Gorby Tattoos.
Yeah, I know. J. Gorby.
I don't know what you just said.
J. Gorby Tattoos. Obviously.
Oh, very obviously. You didn't struggle at all.
Driving to a campground with my uncle and my dad, we saw a trailer with a tire off and a bunch of transmission fluid all over the dirty pavement. I was so impressed my uncle, a mechanic, could identify transmission fluid that quickly by driving by. Next day, we read in the local paper, the guy was smashed under the truck.
Holy fuck.
What my uncle said was transmission fluid.
Was blood.
What my uncle said was transmission fluid ended up being blood.
So he's not that
Jeez.
He's not that genius anyway.
Turns out he was trying to protect me, and they thought it was blood the whole time. Still remember what that looked like. He's like, yeah, it's transmission fluid. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, that's not blood. Just keep on going. All right, this is from Rat Kebab. That sounds delicious. I was 16. Just moved to a major city from a small town where no one locked their doors.
You lock your door?
All the fucking time, dude.
Oh, you live in the hood. Yeah,
You live in the hood.
No,
Don't
dude,
even
this
fucking...
is super peaceful here. We keep our doors open half the time.
Bullet hole in your window suggests otherwise.
That's not true. Not true.
There was a market event downtown with live music and shops and tents. I was with my family but wandered off alone to walk near the river. I was the only one walking the path, right next to a large parking lot. A white truck pulls up and a guy calls out to me, "Hey, my friend thinks you're cute. Can we get your number?" I tell them I'm 16, trying to deter them.
Doesn't matter. God.
But they persist. I tell them no thanks. But then weirdly, he asked me if I was registered to vote.
What?
Obviously. I just told them I was 16, so, no. But they were so persistent that I finally gave in and approached them to fill out the registration, just so they'd finally leave me alone after. As soon as I got near the car, both dudes got out and cornered me in between their car and the car next to them. I immediately felt like I was in danger. They were trying to get me to write down my info on the form and kept saying all they needed was my address. I lied and told them that I didn't know it since I had just moved. I thought on my feet and took out my phone, which was on 1% battery, and called my mom. She didn't really understand what I was saying, and I was basically pretending to have a conversation with her while she was saying, "What? Where are you?" I described the car they were driving, what they looked like, and told her what they were asking me, and then my phone died in the middle of the call. I pretended that I was still talking to her. They said again all they wanted was my address and they'd leave me alone, and asked if the person on the phone knew. I lied and said it was actually my aunt and she didn't know. I told them if they gave me their number, I would text my address when I got home. They grabbed my arm, wrote it down on my skin, and let me go. I bolted. I was crying hysterically after the encounter and told my mom everything. She called the police and the cop entered the number into their database and it came up belonging to a registered sex offender. I feel so unbelievably lucky that I was able to think on my feet and they decided to let me go. All right, well that is going to end our episode for tonight. 2 beers in and we are ready to wrap things up. Thank you, as always, to our 9 paid supporters of the show: Claytor, Lord of Soup, Curtis and Laura, Jackson, Modelo Time, Laura, Mothman, Devin, Conklin family, and Lou. Your continued support of the show is amazing. We're getting really, really close to having video, going to the Clown Motel with, just 85 more?
Yeah, 85 more
subscribers.
We're close.
We're getting really close. And as Cleet mentioned, having video on every single episode so you can literally watch us.
Watch us sweat.
Watch us sweat and drink beer while we talk nonsense and see just how absolutely hideous our faces are.
Why are you sweating so bad?
I don't know why you're sweating. Just turn the AC on. Your YouTube bit.
Oh, you
Shut the fuck up.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps us get us out there. And as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.